with Sarasota home specialist Keller Williams on the Water. And I am a lady boss locally here for a local real estate company. I'm excited to bring to you in October for Women in Business Month, local lady bosses in our area.
My name is Kimberly Loth, and I write books, mostly young adult fantasy. I do have some adult contemporary, and I do it all myself. I'm an indie publisher, so I do all the business side of things as well.
Awesome, good. So do you have a team that works for you, or do you do all of your media and advertising, everything?
I do have a team that works for me. So I have an assistant who does most of my social media for me, mostly because that's like my least favorite thing to do.
I feel your pain there. That's Hannah who scheduled with you. I'm like, Hannah and Kate, take care of it.
Yeah. So aside from that, I do all of my own advertising because I really enjoy that aspect of it. But aside from that, I pretty much outsource everything else. So I have editors, I have cover designers,
Awesome.
So I have a lot of.
You have a whole team running for you, which is exactly what we've been looking for to interview people. Because as you know, October is Women in Business Month, so we are looking for lady bosses and women in business around the country and the area that are doing it and doing it very well. So what I know a little bit about you is that you've traveled a lot as well.
So
right?
We've traveled all over the world, but for a long time before I was able to go full time on my business, we were my husband and I were both teachers at international schools. So we lived in Egypt and in China.
Wow.
And now I've been able to go full time on my business, and my husband has become my full-time chauffeur.
Awesome. That's not a bad gig to have.
No. So now we live in an RV and we just travel around because that's what we wanted to do.
That is fabulous. Yeah. That's so awesome. Do you guys have children?
I do. I have two kids. They're both in college.
Oh, so that's okay though. They little less responsibility there, but don't worry, probably.
It's been fun. Like I love actually like parenting college kids. Like they're just so much easier to parent. But I'm just for college here, so.
Awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about how you got to the portion of when you decided just to travel and be able to really work from anywhere, which I like to call the life by design, because you have created this fabulous empire of a business that you can basically do wherever you want.
Yeah, so it's been a long road. We actually just started full-time in the RV. My son graduated in May, and it was a little bit unexpected. It was early, so he graduated a year early. So we kind of sat back and said, well, what do we want to do? And we decided we were going to try doing Airbnbs for a little bit. We didn't like that. We wanted our own bed.
Yeah.
So
I can understand that one.
So over the summer, we purchased an RV that was a little bit of a fixer-upper. My husband spent a lot of time working on it and getting it done.
Awesome.
And it was actually just this week we went full time. So
that's fabulous.
But the business, we've been full time with the business. I've been full time with the business for about 2 years, and really it was about me just taking the leap and doing it. My husband joined me in January.
Okay.
So
tell me a little bit about that when you did your leap. What got you to the point where you're like, I want to do this as my main thing that brings me joy and happiness, and how did you get to that point?
So we were living overseas and we were teaching. I was a math teacher, and teaching was really exhausting for me. Like I was, I enjoyed it and I love spending time with the kids that age, but it was just really tiring. And I started writing probably about 10 years ago and started publishing, and it started working for me. We weren't at a point where we could financially support myself with it, but it was doing well for me. And my husband and I sat down and talked about it one night, and I'm like, if I really want to do this, I need to actually quit and focus on it. And living overseas and teaching overseas gave us more of an opportunity to do that. And he was totally okay with me quitting my job and going full time. And so it took me, I would say, about 6 months, maybe a year, to really have full-time income on it after that.
It's always a stepping stone. I feel like a lot of women start it that way, whether they're a stay-at-home mom and they're getting back into the workforce because kids have grown and gone to college, or they're just looking for a different world of not corporate or any of that. So that's an awesome story to hear that you did the same thing and had that stepping stone. I did the same thing when I joined my husband. So tell me how you balance your husband joining you full time. Is it a challenge at times when you're living every day with each other and working in the business together?
It's not as much of a challenge as I think people think it would be. He and I have always had careers together, so we've worked in schools together. We really enjoy each other's company.
I think that's the key. You have to really like your spouse.
And we like doing different things. So the balance of the business task and the chores and all that kind of stuff, things that have to get done during the day, works out really well because for the most part we enjoy doing different things. He likes taking care of the RV, and he also really enjoys doing things like the business tasks that I give him to do are things that I don't like doing, and he's good at them. And I don't, he does some of my marketing and stuff for me as well. So
I love that, delegating it out. They always tell you that in Business 101 when you're talking to mentors. Whatever you don't like to do, hire it out or have somebody else do it.
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect.
So.
Well, let's go into a first question that I have for all of our interviews is there one key piece that you heard from a past mentor that really stuck with you during your path and journey to creating this?
So I've been thinking about this, and I actually have 3. That's okay.
No, that's perfect. All the knowledge is great. We love it.
So these are, and these come from 3 different mentors. Some of them that I feel, mentors that I had one-on-one, and other that were just, they don't know they were my mentor,
Yeah.
But so the first one is to be creative. And that's what started me on this whole journey in the first place, was listening to, this was a talk given that was about that, as individuals, and we need to be creative. We need to have a creative outlet. And that's what started the whole thing. The second one is to take risks. That's really important. If you don't take risk in business, you're not going to succeed. I mean, you may be okay, but and success comes from risk taking.
Yep.
And the third thing is that to always be grateful and to express gratitude often.
Oh, I love that. If you know anything about Keller Williams, that is one of our main mottos, is that we always want to have gratitude and do contributions. So I love that. That is huge. It's really what keeps people successful as well. Maintaining that success is making sure that you stay humble. So I love that. That's great. And the risk with success, that is something that I feel a lot of people are afraid of because they aren't stepping outside of their comfort zone because they're uncomfortable. So then they go back to what they always knew. So that's awesome. I love it. So what was one of your aha moments in creating a business of your own through these last 10 years? Or some call it your big why.
I feel like I've kind of talked about this already, but it was really when I quit my job as a teacher, and again, I don't want to knock teaching because teaching is such a wonderful career and it was amazing. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't tired when I went to bed at night, or exhausted. I wasn't, I was happier. I was laughing. I heard myself laughing so much more, and that was when I really realized that I was doing the right thing. This was absolutely what I wanted to do.
Complete joy in what you were doing. That's awesome. I love it. And I think that's the main focus of why we're doing all these interviews, is for other women to get inspired and encouraged to do what really makes them joyful, not just happy. Happiness has a result, and joy is a constant feeling. So yes. What was one of the times that you felt completely discouraged through this process, and how did you get yourself to push through it, or who did you lean on?
So once I was doing a collaborative project with several other authors, and we put a lot of time and effort into this project, and it all fell apart in the end. And I think we were all disappointed because it was hours and hours of work. And one of the things that I learned through that is, because it was really difficult, it probably put me off my game for several months, that I had to go back and realize that I gained a lot from it. So I gained relationships with these other authors that I wouldn't have had we not gone through the process together. Mm-hmm. I gained the ability to learn that through everything, even hard things, there is something to be learned, and it's a stepping stone. It's not a setback. Correct. And those are the 2 big lessons that I learned from it. But it was very difficult. So
I love that. That's awesome. Of always learning from it, because there's a reason why you went through it. So that's an excellent way to outlook and make sure that those mistakes don't happen in the future. So one thing you said in there that I'm just curious of, do you have a creative space that you go to, that you go and write at, that is your zone of how you can really focus?
Not really, because I travel so much that I have to be able to write wherever I'm at, location wise and that kind of stuff. So it's easier when I'm alone. If I have other people around me, it's hard for me to concentrate on when I'm writing. The other thing is that motion. So riding on a train, or when my husband's driving, like when we're going in the RV and he's driving, or on an airplane and those kind of things. Like I write so well in those situations. Trains are probably my favorite. Like I love writing on the train.
I love that. Is there anything else that you enjoy doing to kind of bring you back to ground and stress-free?
I actually don't know. I'm thinking about that. When I read the question on there, I misunderstood what you're asking. And now when you ask it this way, I'm like, oh, that's not what I thought it was.
Well, you can answer it how you thought it was. That's fine.
Well, I think it was just how do I keep myself, on task and on track. And I keep a lot of to-do lists, and I keep myself very organized. I have routines. Without routines, I'm useless. But I think also, with my career and things like that, I love it so much that I don't feel need to have another outlet. Does that make sense? Like,
yes,
I don't.
No, it definitely does. You enjoy what you do, so you don't need to have that stress outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you are a mom, so this is a question we get all the time. I hate the word balance as a mom and a wife and a lady boss, building a team and all that, because there really is truly no balance in life. It's just making sure you're focusing on one thing at one time. So how do you make sure that you stay focused in that balance, if you want to call it, and make sure that you're not only doing it well as a mom and a wife, but then continuing to advance your career the way that you wanted to?
So I would say I have the number one thing I have, and I know this isn't going to work for everybody, but I have an incredibly supportive husband. And that has been from day one. Like he has encouraged me to write. He's encouraged me to take those leaps. When money was tight and we got our tax refund back, he literally handed it to me and said, "Go publish your book."
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. You're gonna make me cry. What an awesome husband. That's so great.
And then just through that, we've always balanced our parenting responsibilities. And so it wasn't, that big of a deal for him to take on a little bit more of that when the time came for me, especially when I started going full time and it was the year before I went full time, when I was literally writing full time and teaching full time. He did everything. Like just so that I could make sure I got where I needed to be.
That is awesome. We need to give him a round of applause. Good job. That's great. So what's next in your author experience? And I know you just wrote a series, but do you have more series that you have ideas for that you're coming out with?
Yeah, so that's the other thing, is that I was actually talking with my editor about this the other day. Like I keep telling myself I'm going to slow down, and I just don't. So I have a new series coming out in the fall. Well, I'm not sure if it's going to be a series yet. We're going to see how it does first. But I have a book coming out in October that is completely different from any other genre. It's a religious fiction book, because I'm LDS, and there's just not a lot of those books out there, and I really wanted to write one for LDS teens. So I wrote one of those, and we'll see how it does, and if it does well, I'll turn it into a series. Otherwise, I have 2 new fantasy series that will probably be out sometime next year.
Awesome.
I write really fast, and I just
That's like, you're blowing my mind. I think I read on your site that you've done 22 books in 4 years. Is that right? Now it's probably more. Oh my gosh, that is fabulous.
In October it'll be my 24th book. Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations. That is so awesome. That's a lot of writing and a lot of editing. And do you do audiobooks as well? So do you have to record the audio portion?
I actually outsource that. So my assistant finds all those people for me
That's awesome.
to do the audiobooks. And then I have people, like my assistant does, my husband does, my kids listen to them, so that I don't have to go through that process, because that's really long.
That's good. Awesome. I know. I know a little bit about the editorial and publishing background, and it's a very excruciating process. So congratulations on that many books and all the success that you've had with it. So final question, and this doesn't just have to be for mommy lady bosses or any of that, just any woman who is whether doing it right now or thinking about doing it. What is your top advice to them as they begin their journey in building their own empire?
I would say take the risk. Take the leap. Just do it. You can't succeed if you don't take the risk. So that would be my number one piece.
I love that. Well, I want to say thank you so much for taking time to meet with us via Skype, and I hope you're enjoying your travels. Where are you guys at right now?
We are actually just outside Chicago.
Oh, awesome. I'm from Wisconsin, so enjoy the beautiful fall weather.
Yeah, we're on the beach, so it's really beautiful.
Oh, I love it. Good. Yeah. Are the leaves changing?